The evening sky was painted with gold and crimson as the sun sank. Behind the rolling hills of Willow Creek, the smell of freshly turned earth mixed with the distant scent of rain. On a small patch of land where wildflowers once bloomed, stood a crumbling wooden cottage, the last memory of one girl's family, and the last thing she was about to lose. Amara knelt in the dirt, her trembling hands gripping a worn wooden cross stuck in the ground. The name carved into it had faded. Mother. Her eyes, red from crying, were fixed on the dusty road stretching toward the horizon. She knew he was coming, the man everyone in town feared, the man whose signature could end her world. Ethan Cole, the richest rancher in the county, a man whose name carried power, wealth, and rumor. Some said he'd built his empire through grit and sweat. Others whispered he'd done it by crushing anyone who stood in his way. Whatever the truth, no one dared to cross him. Except today, one girl was about to. The rumble of hooves echoed across the valley. Dust rose like a ghostly curtain as a dark stallion appeared. Its rider tall and silent. Ethan dismounted in one fluid motion, his boots sinking into the soft earth. His black hat cast a shadow over his sharp eyes that missed nothing, eyes that had seen pain and profit in equal measure. "Miss Amara Hale," he said, his deep voice cutting through the heavy silence. "You know why I'm here." She rose to her feet, her dress simple, her hair tied back with a ribbon that had seen better days. "Yes," she whispered, trying to sound braver than she felt. "You've come to take my home." He studied her, this fragile figure standing in front of a house that barely stood. "The land belongs to the bank now," he said. "I bought it fair and square. You had 6 months to pay the debt." Her lips quivered. "I tried. I worked day and night at the mill. I begged for more time. But my mother's illness—" Her voice broke, and she turned away to hide the tears. "This is all I have left of her." For a moment something flickered in Ethan's gaze. Pity, perhaps, but it was gone as quickly as it came. "I'm not here to discuss the past," he said flatly. "By tomorrow, this land becomes part of Cole Ranch." Amara dropped to her knees. "Please," she cried, her voice trembling with desperation. "Please don't take my home. I'll do anything." The word anything hung in the air like thunder. Ethan's jaw tightened. He looked around, at the dying crops, the sagging roof. The girl, who looked like the wind, could break her. Yet there was fire in her eyes, a defiance he didn't expect. Most people bowed to him. She pleaded yes, but she didn't submit. He took a step closer. "You'd do anything?" Her heart pounded. "Yes, anything. Just don't take it away. I'll work for you. I'll cook, clean, tend the stables, whatever you need." Ethan folded his arms. "You think this land is worth your labor? It would take years to repay the debt." He leaned in slightly. "And I don't have years." The silence between them deepened until only the chirping of crickets filled it. Then unexpectedly he said, "There might be another way." Her head snapped up. "What do you mean?" He looked at her, not as a debtor, but as a woman. There was something about her eyes, not just beauty, but pride, the kind that refused to bend even when broken. "You said you'd do anything," he said softly. "Then be my wife." Amara froze. "Your wife?" Ethan turned away, scanning the horizon. "I don't make offers twice. You need a home. I need someone who can silence the rumors about me, the talk that I'm a heartless rancher who'll die alone with his gold. You marry me and you keep your land." She stared at him, speechless. Her mind spun. It was madness, a cruel joke. But his expression didn't waver. He meant it. "But why me?" she whispered. "Because," he said, his voice low and rough, "you're the only one in this town who looked me in the eyes and didn't flinch." Her breath caught. The man who had taken everything from her now offered her something she couldn't comprehend, safety, but at a price she never imagined paying. "I can't," she said, shaking her head. "I don't even know you." "You don't need to," Ethan said. "You just need to survive." He turned to leave, his long coat swaying with the wind. "Think about it. You have until sunrise. After that, the deal's gone." As his horse galloped away, the dust stung her eyes. She stood there until the sound faded, her mind trapped between despair and disbelief. Marriage to the man who destroyed her family's peace? It was unthinkable. But losing the last piece of her mother, that was worse. Night fell heavy over the valley. Inside the cottage, Amara lit a single candle. The walls creaked under the wind. On the small table lay an old photo of her parents, smiling, proud, full of dreams. "Mama," she whispered, "what should I do?" Outside, thunder rolled in the distance, as if the heavens themselves waited for her answer. By dawn, the storm had passed. The sky blazed orange and gold again. Ethan stood by the fence of her land, his horse beside him, eyes fixed on the cottage door. It opened slowly. Amara stepped out, wearing the same faded dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. Her face was pale, but her eyes were clear. "I'll do it," she said quietly. Ethan didn't move. "You're sure?" Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "If it means keeping this home, I'll be your wife." He nodded once. No smile, no gloating. Just a quiet acceptance, as if he'd expected nothing less. "Pack your things," he said. "We leave at noon." As she turned back to the house, Amara felt her heart twist. She was saving her home, yes, but losing herself to a man she didn't love. Still, in that moment, she chose survival over pride. Ethan watched her disappear inside. Something in his chest shifted, a strange, unfamiliar feeling he didn't like to name. Guilt? Admiration? It didn't matter. He told himself this was business, nothing more. But deep down, both of them knew this was the beginning of something neither could control. The sun stood high over Cole Ranch when Amara arrived, a small suitcase in her hand and a storm inside her heart. The ranch stretched as far as her eyes could see, rolling green pastures, endless fences, cattle moving like dark rivers against the light. Workers stopped and stared. A few whispered. The rumor had already spread like wildfire. The mighty Ethan Cole had taken a wife, some poor girl from the edge of town. Ethan dismounted his horse at the gate, expression unreadable. "Welcome to your new home," he said, and pushed open the tall wooden doors of the house that loomed like a fortress against the sky. Inside, everything shone, polished oak floors, chandeliers that caught the sunlight, portraits of men who looked as proud and cold as him. Amara's footsteps echoed as she followed. Each one felt like she was walking away from her old life. He stopped in the grand hallway. "You'll have your own room," he said flatly. "We'll hold a small ceremony tomorrow. The town will know by then." "A ceremony?" she asked, her voice thin. "Just enough to make it legal," he replied. "After that, you'll manage the house. No one needs to know why we married." She nodded, fighting the tears threatening to rise. Ethan turned to her, eyes softer for a fleeting second. "You'll learn fast." "I don't expect much, just honesty and respect." Amara almost laughed bitterly. "Respect is earned, Mr. Cole." He stared at her, surprised by her courage. "Then I suppose I'll have to earn it." He walked away before she could answer. Ash! That night, Amara lay awake in her new room, staring at the ceiling beams. The house was silent except for the ticking of a distant clock. She missed the sound of the wind slipping through the cracks of her cottage, the scent of the earth after rain. Here everything smelled like polish and wealth, sterile, foreign. In the morning, the ranch was alive with motion. Horses were saddled, men shouted orders, and the kitchen hummed with the sound of breakfast. Ethan was already outside, sleeves rolled up, muscles taut beneath his white shirt as he tightened the harness. Of a restless stallion, he looked nothing like the cold man who'd taken her land. Out here he seemed raw, real. When he saw her, his eyes lingered for a heartbeat too long. "You should eat," he said. "I'm not hungry." "You'll need your strength. Life here isn't easy." "I know what hard work is," she said sharply. "I've lived it." He smiled faintly, almost approvingly. "Then maybe you'll survive me." Ash! That evening, the ceremony took place in the small chapel near the ranch gates. No music, no guests, just the preacher, 2 witnesses from town, and the whisper of dry wind through the open door. Ethan stood beside her, tall and calm, while Amara's hands trembled as she held the simple bouquet one of the maids had given her. When the preacher said, "Do you take this woman?" Ethan's reply came steady, certain. When he turned to her, "Do you, Amara Hale, take this man?" Her voice nearly broke. But she said it anyway. "I do." A simple gold band slid onto her finger, gleaming against her skin. The preacher blessed them, said words about union and trust, and left. Ethan looked at her for a long time. "It's done," he said quietly. "From today this land is yours too." She didn't answer. She only stared at the horizon, the same one that had watched her lose everything and now witness her, beginning something she didn't understand.